Podcast Answer Man, episode number 243.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference. This is GSPN.TV. Join the community.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, of course, is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you have been podcasting for many years, or you haven't quite yet released that first episode. There's something we can all do to take our show to the next level. And my friends, right here today, I am breaking from my normal feedback. I am not going to be answering any questions in this week's episode. I am not going to be bringing you a Where Are They Now interview, although I have two of those that are already pre-recorded, pre-edited, and ready to go for the next 2 weeks, and they are fantastic. Those, we'll get back to our normal way of doing things next week with one new exciting little twist. I'll talk to you a little bit about that here in a few moments. But I do want to let you know, as I'm recording this, I am very nervous. I have a small bit of anxiety about some of the feedback that I will receive as a result of this. In fact, there's been a little bit of announcement made in a podcast episode I recorded earlier today, and I'm already seeing my inbox fill up, and I'm a little nervous to read what some of my friends have written to me based upon what they've already heard. But I chose not to read those emails before hitting the record button here on this very important special announcement that I'll be releasing here in this episode of Podcast Answer Man, because I didn't want it to affect me mentally going into what I'm about to share. And folks, trust me, this is big. This is big stuff. This is huge, gigantic information. And I almost feel like, this is one of those decisions like, it's like the decision to leave your career in insurance and to pursue podcasting full time. It's like that decision I made in January 1 year ago in 2011 when I made the decision that, you know what, we're giving all of our content away. Yes, I know that Plus membership brought in $28,000 in 2010, but in 2011, by golly, we're just going to trust. We're going to have the year of providence, and God's going to provide. And wow, did that work out? So thankful for the the percentage of people who did continue to contribute to the work of GSPN.TV and the community. In spite of the fact that everything was free and it became voluntary. And by the way, I'll give you an update on that. I haven't run the numbers yet to see how things went as far as compared 2010 to 2011. I'm almost certain that I made less in 2011 directly from the income from the content, but that's not what this is all about. And in fact, that I front here right now, that has zero to do with any of the announcements that I'm about ready to make here. So if you guys are prepared, I know I'm not. Actually, I am. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I went to bed about 9:30 last night. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, and I just felt like I needed to come down and start preparing for this episode, for the recording of this announcement. And I spent 4 hours writing the show notes for this episode of Podcast Answer Man. In fact, those show notes are already complete. As soon as I'm done recording this, I can process it, put it online. I think I need to go get a link to our random plug of the week. I need to get a link to his iTunes page. That's the only thing that's missing, and I might need to go through and just proofread it, although I'll probably publish it, have somebody else go through and see if it needs to have any fixes. But I have spent a lot of time preparing for what you're about to hear. So last week's show, I just hinted faintly at the idea that I'm considering the potential of producing less content. And when I say less content, I mean less content as far as the number of episodes produced each and every week. And today I'm going to give you the results of a lot of thoughts and a lot of different things. And let me just start off by telling you that many people, as a consultant, as a coach for podcasting, many people have come to me over the years, and it just blows my mind, the number of people who have come to me and say, I want to launch multiple shows. I have an idea about for 3, 4, 5 different shows, and here's what they're all going to be about, and I need you to help me set up an entire network. And what I find ironic is that they haven't even yet figured out what is involved in producing a single show yet. I mean, they see what I've done with GSPN.TV and they say, I want to do that. And I'm like, you might want to have a conversation with me first, because you know what? I'm excited about the things that I'm doing. There are reasons why I made decisions to do all of these different things, to do all of these different shows. But I want to tell you, when I look at my friend Dan Miller, and I looked at the show that he has, and he only has one of them, I'm envious. I am just right now, I am downright jealous of Dan Miller, the fact that he only has one podcast. I'm downright jealous of Connie Williams and Sheila Tidwell, who do ConnieandSheilaTalk.com. I am jealous of them because they only have one show. I am jealous of all of you out there who have a single podcast and who are crushing it, putting all of your time, effort, and energy into a single production around a single niche topic, field, whatever the case may be. I am envious of you. All right. So it shocks me, the number of people. Now, the people who have come, who have been podcasting for a while and stuff like that, and they say, you know what, I want to add another show or two to my, to what I'm doing, and they're distinctly different target audiences, distinctly different topics, niche fields, and I believe I have the time and energy to devote to doing those. I've got some, I've got some momentum behind what I'm doing here. I'd like to hire you to help me figure out how you are doing this network thing. How can I do multiple shows on the same WordPress site? How can I, build, should I have one site for them all or separate sites? Should I do this? I love helping those people, and I don't mind helping people who want to launch immediately into multiple shows, but I don't think it's a good idea. I just don't. It's a ton of work. It is. And they're looking back since 2008, there are several things that I wish I would have done differently. A lot of things that I wish I would have done differently. And I'm going to start rectifying a lot of those not well thought out decisions a long time ago. And the thing is the fact is I could have thought about it all day long, and I would have never known what I needed to know today if I had not done all the things that I've done. Okay, I'm sure that all made sense. If you just rewind it once, I think it came out okay. Anyway, here's what I believe. I believe that podcasts are most effective and valuable when they serve a niche audience and when that audience is served extremely well. Especially if you want to take it to the next level and create a community to where it's not just an audience, or the people who are subscribed to your shows aren't subscribers. They're not just listeners, but they are community. They're like family to you. That, my friends, to do that, I believe that it's when you create a podcast that's around a niche topic and you have a niche audience and you're serving those people extremely well. That's where I find successful podcasts. That's where I found all of my success. And Leo Laporte, I had an opportunity. It was a dream come true to get to interview him. If you haven't seen that, go over to podcastanswerman.com/Leo interview, all one word, podcastanswerman.com/Leo interview. Go and watch that interview. It blew my mind just how much value I was able to pull out of him, the things that I wanted to share. And one of the things that he said, he even said it, the way to succeed is to find a niche audience, a niche topic, a niche community, and super serve those needs. That is your formula for success. So it's one of the keys. And so I loved that even Leo backed up what has been in my heart about this and what I've been teaching people. And I believe that effectively super serve a niche community, I believe that you should be willing to devote a great deal of time, energy, and attention to making every aspect of your production and your community environments as valuable and as high quality as possible. I mean, take it over the top. Be over the just be crazy mad with how awesome you're serving your community, how awesome your audio quality is. Just be beyond expectation in the look and the feel of your website. Do an amazing job on your show notes. You want an example of great show notes? And I mean, and by the way, this episode podcast, you just go to podcastanswerman.com/234. All right. Podcastanswerman.com/234. My friends, those are thorough show notes. Those are thorough show notes. I spent 4 hours preparing the show notes for today. This is the kind of way I want to serve those who listen. Now, do you really need 4 hours of show notes for a podcast audience that may not ever read them? No. But what did that 4 hours do for me? It made me really think about what am I communicating to you in episode 234. I have in my mind, I know exactly where I am on the roadmap of what you are going to hear from the beginning of this episode to the end of this episode. And I feel energized by the fact that I know the words I'm going to say next. I see the next point on my outline that I've made based upon the show notes that I've already pre-written. I believe that you need to devote a great deal of time, energy, and attention to making every aspect of your production and your community environments as valuable and as high quality as possible. But here's the situation. In 2011, get this, I produced anywhere from 7 to 10 podcast episodes each and every week. And you want to know why I did a lot of it? Honestly, if I had to just really tell you why I did it, a lot of it is just insecurity. I'm not kidding you. I'm not joshing. Insecurity. The more I produce, the more I feel good about myself, and the more impressive I feel like I look to people. I flat out, there it is. It's on the table now. Honestly, I produce 7 to 10 episodes a week because I have felt that I needed to impress people. I'm eagerly anticipating the day when I can tell you, wow, since December 2005, I've produced more than 3,000 podcast episodes. My friends, that is the wrong motives. Now, that's not the only reason I produce content. Don't get me wrong. If you want to know why I produce content, go to podcastanswerman.com/why. And if you really want to know, go back and listen to that episode, podcastanswerman.com/WHY. And that episode, my friends, is where you're going to get the beginning, the churning inside inner turmoil of why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I on the verge of burnout and just barely managing my margin in my life? Why am I always sabotaging my success by trying to push myself too hard in so many areas? And even in that episode, podcastanswerman.com/why. In that episode, I even asked the question, should I just forget about podcast consulting and go full bore and just create content, 10, 20, 30 hours a week? Or maybe I should kind of just, leave the creation of content and just teach people how to create content. And by the end of that episode, you hear it became clear, like, nope, neither one of those is the answer. It's both and. I should continue to create the content. I should continue to do what I feel called to do when I left my career in insurance, to produce this content that makes a change. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But also, I feel like I should continue to teach people how to do this so that I can, we'll get into the why more in a little bit. But here's the thing. I was producing way too much content, 7 to 10 hours worth of content. And my friends, if you are producing a podcast already, you already know how much time, effort, and energy goes into just even the bare minimum of preparing for a show, the production of the show, and post-production. Now, do I have routines for knocking that stuff out real quick, real fast? I sure do. But here's the problem, all right? On average, again, I produced 7 to 10 episodes each and every single week in 2011. And by the way, in 2010, I did more. But on average, 7 to 10 episodes a week, every week last year. On average, I feel that I typically created about 1 or 2 great episodes every week. And the rest of the content was good enough to get by and not lose too many subscribers if I lost any. Flat out honest. On average, 2 out of every 10 episodes created were great content in my eyes, in my mind. I feel like I crushed it. I feel like I achieved what I want to achieve for my community. I feel like I felt like 2 out of 10 podcast episodes each week super served the needs of our community. And to be honest with you, if I think, and of course I was talking about, the time, energy, and attention to every aspect of your production. But here's the thing. Let me tell you what's really suffered in 2011, my community environments. My online community environments. I feel like I've done a lot better here in the last couple of weeks of 2011 with my GSPN.TV live chat room. I've done hangouts on some Thursdays. In fact, I want to do more of those, and I want to create some other engaging and some amazing things. But honestly, my community environments, gspncommunity.com, I've just done the bare minimum. Oh, and by bare minimum, I'm probably doing way more than what people would expect. But I monitor every conversation except for the sports group in there. You guys sports people, I'm not in that. I'm in the group, but I don't follow any of those conversations. But every other conversation, Ning allows me to follow it to where anytime somebody posts a discussion, a thread, a comment of any kind in any other place other than the sports group on my GSPN community site, I get an email. And I read every one of them. And I respond to about 70 to 90% of everything that's posted there. So I still do that, but I'm not going in and initiating anything because I'm so overwhelmed by all these things. And so keep all of that in mind as the basis of what I'm about ready to share with you. All right? So keep all of this in mind. And here's what started this domino effect of thinking, if you will. And it started a couple months ago with my good friend, Chris Biting. Chris and I had been producing a show for Help I Got a Mac for a very long time. And I'll give you all the dates and everything like that in a little bit because I'm going to read off some of the changes that are going to happen. But anyway, Chris and I were doing this podcast, and he said that, man, Cliff, I'm getting ready to become a dad for the very first time. I'm kind of really freaked out about the changes. I don't know what to expect. I'm super anxious about this. Do you mind if we take a couple weeks off? And I said, no problem at all. I totally understand that. And honestly, I was bummed because I like getting on Skype with Chris every week and chatting with him and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I started to lose my passion and stuff like that for really researching and finding content for Help I Got a Mac. Trust me, I am an Apple snob, my friends. I do not like Windows. I hate Windows. But, Windows works for what it does. But the thing is, I love the Mac. Don't get me wrong. But I was losing my passion just like I did for Virtual Assistant Podcast. I still love virtual assistants. I just didn't want to talk about it every week for an hour or even 30 minutes. And same thing was happening with Help I Got a Mac. I would have never said it. But when Chris took some time off, I'm like, wow, this is kind of nice not having to do this show. I kind of dig it. And then here's what happened. Father Roderick Von Hogan and I spending, 80, 90 weeks creating this show called Balanced Living Weekly. It started out as the Biggest Loser fan podcast. And then, I kind of lost my passion for Biggest Loser, and we were running into a summer hiatus, and so we changed it over to Balanced Living Weekly because we still wanted to get together on a weekly basis, and we figured, we can convert this and talk about our balanced and healthy life, and encourage and hold each other accountable to health and fitness and all this other stuff. The crazy thing is Father Roderick has his own podcast devoted to health and fitness called Health and Holiness. I have my own podcast called Pursuing a Balanced Life that's been around since 2006, but yet here we are together doing this show called Balanced Living Weekly. And it was great at first, and after a while, we enjoyed our conversations before we recorded and after we recorded a whole lot more than we enjoyed talking about balanced living. Let me tell you, we were burned out of that topic of just talking about calories, and it just got boring talking about that stuff. And so we ended up talking about our lives most of the time. And when I brought it up to Father Roderick right around late November, I guess, or right around in November, it was, I said, Father Roderick, I'd love to talk to you about potentially doing something different here. How about we end this and you and I, really the only reason I do Balanced Living Weekly with you every week now is as I love geeking out with you. And the truth is, I'm just not feeling it. Not for the show anymore. Each week we get a little time before and a little time after the show, and you know what? We talk about geeky things. How can we just change the show? Can we just start fresh, start new? And we sat and took an entire hour and came up with this thing. We were going to launch Geekology today. We registered the domain, installed the site, got everything up, and it's even in iTunes with a little preview a little note that says, "Hey, please stand by for a future podcast here." The thing is, though, Father Roderick emailed me a couple weeks into the planning of that and said, "You know what? I'm approaching Christmas. I am so overwhelmed with my other media work that I'm doing in television and radio. There's only 2 priests in our parish here. We get, I think it's 10 churches that he oversees in the Netherlands, and he's got his own podcast network. And he's like, maybe we're rushing into this. Maybe we need to think through what the mission and purpose is and stuff like that." And I'll be honest with you, I read that email and I was a little hurt. I was like, no. Seriously, what did I do? Let's just go back to Balanced Living Weekly. Let's just continue to talk about that stuff. I don't care. I just want my weekly time to talk to Father Roderick. How could I have screwed this up? And I was hurt, and I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden, we went a couple weeks without doing the show, and that allowed me to start, get this, going to lunch on Thursdays. What a novel idea! For the first time in years. First time in years, I actually left this house and went to lunch on a Thursday. Whoa, that was crazy. And I started to really like the idea. And I emailed Father Roderick and I said, you know what? I know that you said that after Christmas and you get into the new year and things start settling down, we might talk about, I'd like to talk about maybe just not even doing it, just abandoning it altogether. And I maybe going to the audience for Balanced Living Weekly and giving them, a final goodbye, a final explanation of what's going on. I've really enjoyed this free time, and I do want to find a way where you and I can continue to connect, and I have ideas for that. Some of it has a lot to do with my mastermind group, and I'm talking with Father Roderick about those things. Those are conversations we're going to be having, but yeah, I started to feel a little freedom inside of my heart and my mind and my life, and a little more margin. And I'm like, wow, help I got a Mac, Father Roderick. And then all of a sudden the wheels started spinning. The wheels on the bus went round and round, my friends. And then I started thinking about Business Tech Weekly. My great friend, Andy Traub, he and I met each other. He's the person who introduced me to Dan Miller. He and I got on the phone for the very first time, started talking. We were geeking out about technology that we're using in our business. His business at the time was technology for businesses. That was his business. Well, guess what? That's not his business focus today. His business is completely different today than it was before. He is not talking about business and technology each and every in his business. That's not what he does for a living anymore. And so here we are still doing the show, and I'm going to just be flat out honest. I had this conversation with Andy already, so he knows. And I wasn't shocked to find out that he was on the same page. But I kind of felt like about 30, maybe even 40 episodes ago, Business Tech Weekly, I kind of just lost all passion for talking about technology and about talking about technology tools. You know, I'd already talked about HighRise. I talked about Google Apps. I talked about Gmail, Google Calendar, Dropbox, Backblaze. We talked about all of these things. I mean, gosh, you're going to hear in just a few moments how many episodes, and I can look right now, 109 episodes of business technology. The fact is we talked about everything we could want to talk about. And honestly, the last 30, 40 episodes, the only reason I have recorded Business Tech Weekly, actually, there's two reasons. I'm going to give you the real, flat, plain, true, honest reasons. Two reasons why I've recorded the last 40 episodes of Business Tech Weekly. Reason number one, I like Andy Traub. He's a great guy. He's a good friend. And I enjoy the fact that I get an opportunity to talk with him each week. It's kind of cool to talk to somebody who is he's making it, and he's actually working towards goals, and he's out there clearing a path for his own way and for the future, and making a legacy for himself. I love that about him, and I love talking to him. That's reason number one. Reason number two, I was afraid that if we ended Business Tech Weekly, I might lose maybe 10 to 25 people overall from our entire network who basically only subscribe to Business Tech Weekly, and that is their single most favorite show that we produce. And I was afraid to do that. I'm afraid to lose anybody. Guys, as much as I'd love to tell you that I'm completely over this concept of being a people pleaser, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. But the thing is I still hate the idea of upsetting anyone. And as you can imagine, what I'm about ready to share with you, the changes that are going to make, I think they're great. I think they're amazing. I am extremely excited. I woke up at 4:00 this morning feeling like a huge burden had been lifted off my shoulder, and that I am so excited and energized to run towards the goals and dreams and the awesomeness that will be waiting for me in 2012, both for my business coaching, consulting, and all of that other stuff, as well as the community of GSPN.TV, although it be different than what it's looked like in the past couple of years. But with that being said, I know that some people are going to be upset, and some people are going to be, wow, I'm really bummed. They're not going to like what I'm about to announce. They're going to have some harsh words to say, probably. Some people who have continued on, even though the content's free, who have continued to financially support the content and community of GSPN, although it is at an all-time low now, which is, it's okay. I'm dealing with that. The voluntary contributions. I haven't really pushed Plus membership. I don't go around saying, hey, do you want to, consider supporting us all the time? I haven't really thought about how to best market that. I'm going to work on that more here in 2012. But there's going to be some people who have, been listening to Social Media Serenity and Business Tech Weekly and some other stuff. And you know what? They're going to say, you know what? I'm just not sure I want to continue. I mean, it's like, what's left? And I'm going to talk to you about what's left. And here's the other thing let me give you the one other thing. There's a few other things, but these are the big things. I'm only bringing the big stuff here. But here's the other thing that's been happening a lot lately. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just take John Wilkerson. John, I hope you don't mind that I use you as an example here. But the other day, I think I got an email, a voicemail from John Wilkerson, and he says, "Hey, Cliff," and Anyway, this is John Wilkerson, and I'm not sure where you want to put this. This could fit in Business Tech Weekly. This could fit in Social Media Serenity. It might even fit into Podcast Answer Man. Wherever you want to put it. This is my feedback. The fact is, hands down, Business Tech Weekly, Social Media Serenity, and Podcast Answer Man, I'm always torn about where to share things. And the thing that's been most frustrating for me, especially when I record all of these things on the same day, is sometimes when there's a very big event going on in my life, whether it be a new technology tool or a new way I'm using social media in a wild and crazy way, I end up talking about it a little bit in one podcast, a little bit of it in either, in two of the three podcasts, Business Tech Weekly, Social Media Serenity, or Podcast Answer Man. I end up talking about it a little bit in two podcasts and talking about it big time in one podcast. And I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, and I never know when to be more excited about it than other places. And some people have written in and said, you know what? I really wish you'd get off the topic of talking about whatever it may be. Insert the name of that topic here. Because, man, it seems like that's all you talk about. And I'm like, well, dude, it's only been 2 weeks, and it's been the biggest thing in my life. And well, the thing is there are some people who listen to Business Tech Weekly who don't listen to the other two shows. There's people who listen to Social Media Serenity who don't listen to the other shows. And there's people who listen to Podcast Answer Man who don't listen to the other two shows. So I feel like I have to cover my bases if I really want to get this message out. And that's what podcasting for me is. A lot of it is me getting the word out, sharing my life, sharing my experiences with other people around the world in hopes that number one, I'd like to entertain you. Number two, I would love to have it be a form of education to teach you something based upon what I've learned. That's how I learn, from people teaching me what they've learned and what they've experienced. And I also want to be a source of encouragement and a source of inspiration to inspire you to do something with the content that you've just received. And sometimes that content is so good that, man, I have, if there are 200 people over here that won't hear it because they don't subscribe to this show, then I'm going to share it with these 200 people, even though, 800 of those people also listen to it over here. And that's been real frustrating. So that's just another thing. Not only is it uncertainty for the people calling in feedback, but it's uncertainty for me. Where do I share it? And so with that being said, and Stephanie's kind of been dealing with that with, full-time mom, Authentic Life Radio / Family from the Heart. She's like, oh, I can't share that because I already shared it over here. I guess I could retell it, maybe tell them to go. It's same thing for her. So here, my friends, here's the big announcements. These decisions are made. They're set in virtual stone. And this is, this is the thing. I've been listening to a lot of great podcasts from people who are people I look up to, people who are my advisors, if you will, trusted advisors. And what I hear over and over time is indecision is the greatest thief of opportunity. And I got to the point where, you know what, honestly, I just brought these things up to the people who are involved, Chris Beiting, Andy Traub, Eric Fisher. I just brought it up to them just recently. But honestly, these have been undecided thoughts in my mind for a very long time. And the thing is these things have become the fact that I had not made decisions was robbing me of opportunities to improve so much of what I do in so many areas, including producing amazing content moving forward for GSPN. So, my friends, I am going to read these to you. You can also read these at podcastanswerman.com/234. And here it is. The first one, starting with Balanced Living Weekly. I will be ending the Balanced Living Weekly podcast after 83 episode, the final episode to be pending. Father Roderick and I are going to get together and record an official ending of that show. This Balanced Living Weekly was started on September 27th, 2009, so over 2 years ago. And Father Roderick and I have done this, and here's the thing. Moving forward, Father Roderick is going to continue to share all of the content that he would have shared in these episodes. He will continue to share in his podcast at health.sqpn.com, which you will find is his Health and Holiness podcast. For me, I'm going to continue to produce the same amount of. I'm going to share anything that would have been shared in that podcast is going to continue to be produced. It will continue to be shared, and it will be shared at pursuingabalancedlife.com, my podcast about balanced and healthy lifestyle. So there you go. Balanced Living Weekly officially ended, pending final episode. Decision number 2. My wife, Stephanie, I'm making this announcement for her. I hope she doesn't mind. I should have talked to her about that first. Anyway, my wife, Stephanie, she will be ending the Full-Time Mom podcast after 183 episodes, pending her final episode that she has yet to record, which will be recorded within the next, probably within the next 24 hours. Stephanie started her show, Full-Time Mom, on July 14th, 2007. She will continue to share anything and everything that would have ever gone into that podcast episode. She will continue to share every bit of it in one of two shows, Authentic Life Radio at authenticliferadio.com and Family from the Heart at familyfromtheheart.com. Obviously, you can tell already Pursuing a Balanced Life is going to continue. Family from the Heart is going to continue. Authentic Life Radio is going to continue. All right? Now, third decision. I will be ending the Business Tech Weekly podcast after 109 episodes. The final episode to be recorded later today on Thursday, January 5th, 2012. On this one here, Andy and I started this September 8th, 2009. Again, over 2 years ago. Andy actually is going to continue to share his business pursuits on his own blog at andytraub.com. And if you haven't heard about it, you should check it out. Andy has he's built his own podcast network. Remember I told you that his business focus has changed? Well, he's moved into audio production. And so you can find he's got an entire network now at takepermission.com. And so moving forward, he will be sharing his business pursuits there, and I will be sharing my business pursuits and business technology stuff. Guess where? podcastanswerman.com. And also potentially some, that'll land inside of pursuingabalancedlife.com as well. But here's the thing. I'm going to be bringing more technology tools and gadgets and stuff like that help me improve the way that I run and orchestrate my business or my production here at Podcast Answer Man and GSPN. I'm going to be sharing more of that here on Podcast Answer Man because I don't have to actually say, you know what, let me just save that for Business Tech Weekly, which you guys have no clue. For those of you who subscribe to Podcast Answer Man, but you never did listen to businesstechweekly.com, those 109 episodes, you have no clue how much content I have not shared with you here because I put it there. And that is not going to happen anymore. Those things are going to be shared here in podcastanswerman.com. Next decision. I have officially ended social media serenity after 119 podcast episodes. The show was started on July 17th, 2009 with my great friend and co-host Eric J. Fisher. From this point forward, I am very excited to let you know that any and all content that would have been relevant and important to be shared with the world is going to continue to be produced. Now, Eric doesn't carry on his own blog, although you can follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/Eric J. Fisher. That's Eric with a K, the letter J, Fisher. And facebook.com/ you guessed it, Eric J. Fisher. Anyway, he's going to continue to share things there, but Eric has agreed to continue to meet with me every Thursday morning on our live show Thursdays, and we're going to spend about 30 to 45 minutes together. And during that 30 to 45 minutes each Thursday morning, we are going to work to create the greatest, most important social media update of the week. And Eric has agreed to be the official social media correspondent for Podcast Answer Man. So that is going to be a segment of Podcast Answer Man each week. having Eric Fisher come on board. So I'm so excited, and that will begin next week. So that's another decision that's been made. Again, content is not really being taken away. It's just been shifted into focused areas. All right. Here's the next one. I am officially ending Help I Got a Mac after 180 episodes. I got off the phone with Chris Biding. By the way, Chris Biding and I started that podcast, actually officially relaunched it on October 14th, 2007. All right. 180 episodes. Actually, the 180th episode has not yet been recorded. Talked to Chris Biding this morning. We are going to schedule a time someday next week to officially record a final episode. My friends, this is the only podcast where there is not necessarily any continuation of that content. All right, that it's the only one. I don't have. I mean, it's not going to be. The thing is Podcast Answer Man will probably get some cool, Apple related news and how that might affect us as podcast and content creators and stuff like that. I'll probably bring up any kind of my geeky news as far as am I going to get the new iPhone 5? Am I going to get the iPad 3 and stuff like that? That'll probably end up somewhere between Podcast Answer Man, Pursuing a Balanced Life, or Family from the Heart. So, but there's no dedicated place where Chris Biding is going to come on board. Now, with that being said, I want to let you know, Chris Biding and I are going to continue on, and I'm going to try to find ways to get his voice in here, at least more often than what we had been recording Help I Got a Mac recently. So, he's still very much wants to be a part of what we're doing here at GSPN, and I appreciate him. But yeah, if there's actually, there is only one show where the content that would have been produced won't have a specified show where that content's being flowed into. And the thing is, that podcast honestly hasn't been produced in months, and I don't know that it was actually ever going to come back after spending a lot of time off. Chris and I talked, and you'll hear this. Actually, if you want to know more about that, I'm not going to say any more right now. Just go to episode 180 of Help I Got a Mac sometime give it about 2 weeks, and it'll be there. All right. It'll probably be there sometime next week, the second week in January. But if you wait until the third week in January, it should be there by then. Episode 180 will show you that Chris and I are very much on the same page on that one. Next decision. I have officially ended the Almost Daily Devotional podcast after 166 episodes. I had launched this podcast back on March 3rd, 2008, with the idea that I would produce somewhere between 3 to 5 10-minute episodes each week. Guess what? So that I could impress you. Yeah, I have no idea why I got so caught up in that. But yeah, were there other real good reasons? Yes. Did I really want to have a positive change and share what God was laying on my heart? Yes, absolutely. But honestly, when it comes down to it, why do I feel like I always need to do it? And why a separate show? And so here's the thing. The good news, Almost Daily Devotional, every single thing that I would have actually fired up the recorder and hit the record button for Almost Daily Devotional, that is still going to be produced. In fact, you'll get more of that content than you would have if you stayed subscribed to Almost Daily Devotional, because by golly, it was almost yearly devotional or almost monthly devotional. It certainly wasn't daily. It wasn't weekly. And it wasn't, it was almost the occasional, spurts of devotionals, a couple times a year podcast. So that's going away, but all that content that would have gone there moving forward is now going to go into a show that, and here's the next decision, that used to be called the About the Church podcast. And that is rebranded. After 124 episodes of the About the Church podcast, I made the decision to no longer call it the About the Church podcast. From this point forward, it is going to be known as EOTC for short, or Encouraging Others Through Christ. You can find it at encouragingothersthroughchrist.com. And that show is going to be produced on a more consistent basis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how often here in just a second. So with this, my greatest fear in making all of these announcements is that people might ask the question or concern themselves with the thought that, am I abandoning the network model? Am I leaving GSPN.TV community behind so that I can pursue great and big, huge dollars in the world of podcast consulting and stuff like that? I will tell you, I am going to be pursuing significant increases in income related to my business pursuits. I am going to be doing that. And yes, some of these decisions are going to make it a little easier for me to accomplish that. However, I want to tell you that honestly, all of the decisions that have been made is so that I can spend less time making good content. And I mean this, I actually want to spend more time on GSPN.TV Productions making great content. Great can't live without content. I don't think that every episode of any of my shows, not even Podcast Answer Man, I don't think every episode of all of my shows have been great episodes. 2 out of 10, 20% of Podcast Answer Man episodes are great in 2011. 2 out of 10 Family from the 20% of any show, of any podcast has been great in my mind. And that's just simply not good enough. It's not good enough. The shows that will continue, I want every show to be great. And I will be spending a ton more time per show. So, with all of the decisions that I've shared, moving forward, I will promise you, I commit to you that there will be a renewed passion like none other and a drastic increase in the quality of all of the following main GSPN.TV shows as the result of these changes. Here it is. PodcastAnswerMan.com, produced weekly. It's going to be amazing. Going to continue to knock it out of the park week after week. This is going to be a stellar podcast that I can say each and every week, wow, that was a great episode. And I hope that you'll say it too every single week, and that you'll tell the world how awesome Podcast Answer Man is every single week. Second show, Family from the Heart, produced weekly. Gonna knock it out of the park. It is going to be fantastic. We're gonna take it to a whole new level starting today. This episode of Family from the Heart starting today is going to be great. It's going to be amazing. All right. Third show, Authentic Life Radio, AuthenticLifeRadio.com. Going to be produced on a weekly basis. Now, I am not in that show. I do have my hands as producer, but that one's up to Stephanie and Sarah. And here's the cool thing is, Sarah's only got one show, and now Stephanie moving forward is only going to have 2 shows. I'm going to be responsible for bringing, I'd say maybe 60-70% of the wow power to, I just made that up, but I'm going to bring the wow power to Family from the Heart, hoping my wife will bring, maybe 20, 30, 40% of the wow power. But the thing is I want Stephanie to reserve all of her wow power for Authentic Life Radio. I want that to be her, wow, this is great. This is, whoa, this is awesome. So those things, she's gonna knock it out of the park. Another show that's gonna continue moving forward, and I'm gonna share a little thought about it here. I haven't talked to Tracy too much about this, although we've hinted at this in conversations. Life, Love, and the Movies at lifeloveandthemovies.com. Going to continue to be produced on a weekly basis. At least that's the thinking at this point, right here as I'm recording right now. Thing is, though, not a fan of the brand. Not a fan of the brand. The thing is we knew we wanted to create a podcast, but we didn't know what it would be about. I mean, I think Tracy had a bigger understanding and a clearer picture of what he was thinking the show would be. I think that probably me coming on board and us working together and finding out how we best communicate with each other as co-hosts of the show together, I think that he's probably adjusted even what his own original picture in mind, what he had in mind for this show. And, this show would be more aptly titled The Motivational Happy Half Hour. But I'm not even sure if that's the right title for it, but I'm not crazy about the branding of lifeloveandthemovies.com, of Life, Love, and the Movies as the title of that show. But one thing I do know is that for right now, that show is a powerful show. It is a powerful message that's not necessarily in all of the other stuff. Although Pursuing a Balanced Life, if that show ever went away, that content would flow into Pursuing a Balanced Life and Family from the Heart. But at this time, Tracy carries that show. He really does. It's an amazing show. Just the last couple of weeks, I've seen people who have checked out the show, and they're like in the live chat room, and they're like, wow, this is my new favorite show of GSPN. It is a show that we plan on continuing. Whether or not there's going to be a brand change, I'm not necessarily sure, but it's a show that's going to continue. So I'm going to just tell you right now, that's the weekly shows. Those are the weekly shows. Do you remember at the beginning of this episode, I told you that in 2011, I produced between 7 to 10 episodes every single week in 2011? Well, my friends, on a weekly basis, there will be 4 in 2012. Wow. From 10 to 4. This is huge. Podcast, and guess what? Guess how many of those I personally will be behind the microphone for? I'm going from 9 to 3. I'm a podcast answer man, Family from the Heart, Life, Love, and the Movies. Boom. 3 podcasts on a weekly basis. I can't begin to tell you what this means for my margin in my life, my pursuit of greater health and fitness and mindset. I am so excited, and to know that the content of all the shows that aren't going to be recorded weekly from this point forward, that content is actually going to flow into the existing shows that I just told you about. Those shows are going to be great. They are. They're just going to be awesome. All right. I do want to tell you there are 2 more main shows. There are 4 weekly shows each week for GSPN.TV. 4 weekly shows. Now, there are 2 other main shows that are going to be ongoing and produced on a continual basis. Pursuing a Balanced Life at pursuingabalancedlife.com and Encouraging Others Through Christ at encouragingothersthroughchrist.com. Okay, those 2 shows are also considered to be main, ongoing, continual shows for GSPN.TV. Not produced weekly, though. What I will commit is that those shows will get an episode at least once a month. You'll get at least 1 episode of Pursuing a Balanced Life each month. You could get 30. I'm just saying, you could get 30, especially if I feel like I'm not living up to anything and I really need to like super impress people and I want to say, yeah, this is the quickest way for me to get to over 5,000. No, I'm just kidding now. That was all just a joke right there. The honesty earlier in the episode, that was real. Joking around about 30 episodes. You still could. I could get on this major health kick and record a podcast every single week from a bike or something like that. You just never know what's going to happen. But Pursuing a Balanced Life, there's no way I could find myself. I thought about ending it, just not happening. Sorry, no way. But I'm going to commit at least once a month you'll have an episode of Pursuing a Balanced Life. Encouraging Others Through Christ, same deal. And by the way, if you haven't checked it out, go over there. It's awesome. I love everything from episode 121 all the way up through 126, which is currently available. Wow. You'll understand just why I'm so excited about it. All right. Now, are there any other shows? You might be thinking, whoa, wait a second. You got Podcast Answer Man, Family from the Heart, Authentic Life Radio, Life, Love, and the Movies, Pursuing a Balanced Life, Encouraging Others Through Christ. Dude, where are your entertainment podcasts? Because I can hear it right now. There are people like, that's all I'm here for. That's all I care about. You can stick your technology wherever you want to stick it. I'm not really all that crazy about your faith talk, Cliff, and your family. You're just a little weird, honestly. So I really don't care about. I just want to know, where's the entertainment stuff? Well, here's the cool thing. We're just not going to call them our main shows. Are there going to be entertainment podcasts moving forward? You bet. And they're going to be great. That's the awesome thing about this. They're going to be amazing entertainment shows. The thing is from this point forward, those shows are not going to be ongoing, continual. You're going to get an episode weekly or even one every single month. This is what they're going to be called. They're either going to be a show that is a podcast series or a seasonal podcast. And I actually want to I just glanced at something that my friend Jonathan Nation wrote in a chat room last week. And unfortunately, Jonathan, I didn't actually take the time to read the entire thing, but you had said that you'd been thinking about seasons, and I kind of just glanced at that, and that stuck with me. And so I've been thinking about that for what I want to do producing moving forward. And so what I've decided is that I have two options with shows, and this is how I'm going to determine if I create a new show from this point forward. Matter of fact, if Life, Love, and the Movies was not an existing show, and I came up with Tracy Trost, and I said, "Hey, let's do a podcast together," I would not commit to that podcast being an ongoing podcast. I would say, "Great, let's create a series or a seasonal show." And actually, that show would be a series. From the beginning, we're going to record X number of podcasts. We will record them at this interval, and we will communicate that up front, and people will know at the front of this show when the show is going to end. That's a series. I'll give you some examples of what I mean by this. And perfect examples. Twilight Saga podcast is a series podcast. We read all 4 books, podcasted about them. Saw all the movies, podcasted about them. That series that podcast is almost complete. It's almost over. All right. The thing is, though, is it completely ended right now? No, it is currently open because there is still one more movie to be produced. When there's another movie, we have the final movie of the final book for Twilight Saga. We will go see that movie. We will podcast about that movie maybe once, maybe twice. And then at the end of that, we will record, "Thank you so much for, joining us for this podcast series. This is the end. It concludes this show. We invite you to come check out some of our other shows, our other series. We have weekly shows. We have 2 monthly shows. We have a bunch of other series if you want to catch up on. Here's another one, The Hunger Games, where we're reading all the books and then we'll cover all the movies. Those are series. All right. Then the other option is seasonal shows. I'll give you an example of a seasonal show that right now is in production, but it's seasonal, and it's only produced when we are going to determine when the next season of that show will be. And for right now, that show is the Doctor Who fan podcast. So if you go to gspn.tv/Doctor Who, all spelled out, you will see that podcast is there, and there's a Christmas episode or two that we're going to see, and we'll probably watch those and then come down and record a podcast episode, and boom, that's a part of it. Now the thing is that's going to be that's going to be a podcast, a special episode, because the actual season hasn't officially kicked off yet. But when the new Doctor Who season comes out, guess what? We are going to keep up with it. We are going to move forward with it, and I'm excited about that opportunity. Lost is a podcast that will have seasons. And believe it or not, that's the only other show that I believe is in current production, although it is on hiatus. And it has been on hiatus for a very long time. And I have no date for you when it will come out of hiatus, when the next season of that will be. For those of you who are thinking, well, gosh, didn't they end Lost? Wasn't there a series finale? Yes. But that doesn't mean that podcast won't have future series, because that is a big, huge show for us. And I do hope to get around to doing a community-wide Lost rewatch series, or seasons of rewatch. And probably not go through and say, hey, we're gonna spend the entire summer doing all 6 seasons. No, let's do season 1. And how many episodes are there? Okay, we're going to do 20 weeks of this. If there are 20 episodes, we're going to do 20 weeks. And then honestly, we're going to take a year off. We'll take 3 months off. We'll take 6 months. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead, but those are seasons. And that's how we're going to, when it comes to creating new shows are probably not going to be weekly ongoing for eternity shows. Pursuing about, they're probably not even going to be monthly ongoing continual shows. They will probably, new shows moving forward for GSPN will probably, most of them will be entertainment based. We've got some ideas, nothing we're willing to share just yet, but we have ideas for more entertainment podcasts to be launched for GSPN, but they will either be series or seasonal. So that's the thing. That's the big deal. Those are the decisions. That's how we're moving forward. And I know that upsets some people, but to be honest with you, I am fine. All is well in my soul with all of these decisions. The decisions have been made. They're in virtual stone. They're not going to be changed. And moving forward, this is how we are going to go. And I am looking forward to the road ahead. Quite literally, I'm looking at my desktop and it is the world ahead, or the road ahead. And if you haven't ever seen it, go to facebook.com/Cliff Ravenscraft and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is what I see on the road ahead, and it looks beautiful. And the future is bright, and it's going to be exciting. And the most important thing, the content production and community environments moving forward will be great all the time. You can come to expect it. All right, really fast, I want to share. I know this is just over an hour, but this is a biggie for me. So here's the deal: bringing a final close to the Plus member site. Remember, I told you that in January of 2011, we made the decision to make all the content available for free. So basically, what was going on is before, when we had Plus membership or the partial premium content, some of our shows, we would give you some shows for free, but 2 or 3 episodes a month were held back for only people who paid as Plus members to our network. And so what I would do is I would take all the free episodes and I would post those on my main GSPN site, and then I would also post those to the Plus member site. But the episodes that were for Plus members only did not get posted to the GSPN main site, but those did get posted as well to the Plus member site, so that people who were subscribed to the Plus member feeds would get everything. And the people who were subscribed to the feeds that were in iTunes prior to December 2011, on those shows that did withhold content, they only got the free episodes. Now, in 2011, we changed that. Every episode produced in 2011 has been on the free feeds and also in the Plus member feeds. Now, the thing is it's been a year and we have hundreds and hundreds of people who are still subscribed to the Plus member feeds. It's been perfectly fine through 2011, but here's the thing. There's really no more reason for me to continue to post and publish, even though it may only be somewhere between 4 to 6 episodes in a week, 7 or 8 if I do a lot of Pursuing a Balanced Life, but 4 to 6, there's no reason for me to take 4 to 6 episodes a week and put them on both the Plus member site and the GSPN site. Why do all that double work? So effective January 1st, and by the way, this week's content is the first week of 2012 that there's been content. From this point forward, we're asking people, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record like a 10 or 15 minute update that's going to be put out in every category of the Plus member site that says, if you're hearing this message, that means that you are subscribed to a Plus member feed that is coming off of the Plus member site. From this point forward, whatever show you happen to be listening to or subscribed to, no new shows are going to follow here. In fact, you may want to check it out because I made an announcement over at Podcast Answer Man about the shows moving forward. I'll put you can go to podcastanswerman.com/234. Go check that out and read about it, because not all shows are going to continue in 2012 and beyond. If you want to find out what shows are or are not, check out Podcast Answer Man and also check out gspn.tv/shows. So I'm going to put that in there so that people who are subscribed to Plus feeds will know to unsubscribe, or they can keep them, that's fine, but to make sure that if they want new content of the shows that are the new main shows that are going to continue, that they go in and sign up and subscribe to the free feeds. Well, they're all free. But anyway, you get the idea. So basically, I'm just going to put a close to the ongoing posting of things to that old premium member-only site. I'll leave the archives up there for everybody. In fact, that's not a big deal. But just moving forward, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do that. So here's the bottom line, wrapping it all up here. And then I just have two real quick announcements or two quick little shout outs. But bottom line, I want to change the world. I do. I feel called to. The bottom line is that I want to create entertaining, educational, encouraging, and inspirational content that makes a difference in people's lives. I want to spend less time producing good content. And I want to spend more time actually producing great, can't live without content that helps make positive change in the lives of the people who listen. You know, I believe that I've been called by God to be a force of positive change in the world. I know this deep down in every fiber of my being. And I believe that spending time creating my own great content that matters most, that helping, and also that helping thousands of people, other podcasters around the world to take their shows to the next level. I know that through creating the content that I'm called to create and helping people achieve the ability to create the content that they're called to do, to share their positive message with the world moving forward, this is how I'm going to achieve what God's called me to do, into making a positive, to basically making a dent in this world. I want to go out leaving a dent in this world. That's what I want to do. And with that, I do hope to make an official announcement about my Podcasters Mastermind group that I had been talking about these last couple months. I've been working on it for about 2 months. I'm hoping to launch it on Monday. I believe that's January 16th. The working title right now is Podcasters for Positive Change. That's not completely in virtual stone yet. It's in virtual clay that's kind of still wet and malleable, but still working on that. But if you're interested in the Podcasters for Positive Change Mastermind group, you want to email me, cliff@podcastanswerman.com. And when I do have information, I'll be sharing that. Also, make sure that you're signed up for the mailing list, podcastanswerman.com/list. And finally, my friends, and where is my button? Let me click a button. There you go. Actually, I'm going to start that off with a little smoother. There you go. Finally, I just want to say special shout out and thanks to the folks behind RoundTablePodcast.com and ArizonaFootballLeague.com. Now, I have no idea who the people behind either of these brands are, but one of the things I do know is they actually used my Bluehost affiliate link in this past 7 days to create their hosting account for their podcasts. And as you guys know, I earn a commission each and every time somebody clicks through my affiliate link to set up their Bluehost hosting account. And I do believe Bluehost is a great and perfect solution for a majority, and I mean like an overwhelming majority, 80-90% of podcasters would do well to start with Bluehost. It's shared hosting. If you ever outgrow your shared hosting with Bluehost, I know from experience that it is a piece of cake to hire somebody, or to go over to like a servant hosting, which is who I'm with now, virtual private servers, because they use cPanel. They were able to actually, I just gave them my login to my Bluehost account and they just ported it over. It was a couple hours and I had tons of sites and I didn't have to do anything. It was just amazing. So I know that if you start out with Bluehost and you outgrow it, what have you lost? It's $83.40 for an entire year of hosting. And if you outgrow it and it's just not going fast enough for you, because you have 30,000 people hitting your site every single month, which would be a good problem to have. Then you head over to Servant and you sign up for the $49 a month account, and they just switch it over. But starting out with Bluehost is great, and I just want to say thank you, RoundtablePodcast.com, ArizonaFootballLeague.com for using my Bluehost affiliate link. You can find that, by the way, at podcastanswerman.com/resources. And also, real quickly, random plug of the week, major congratulations goes out to Adam Baker of Man vs. Debt. My friends, check this out. Go into iTunes, look up Man vs. Debt. He is in the investing subcategory of business. This is the same category that Dave Ramsey is in, and other big, huge multimedia, mass media, cable network media. There's Jim Cramer, the money people. Those big, huge, gigantic time people are in this investing category in the top 10. Adam Baker has one single episode in iTunes, and he's in the top 10. This isn't just hitting new and notable. I'm telling you, he is in the top 10 podcasts of investing with one episode, my friends. Go check it out. Now somebody says, that I'd be more impressed if he didn't have an existing audience already. You know what? I don't care who you are. One episode and you're in the top 10. Color me impressed. I don't care if you're Oprah or whatever. It's an impressive thing. Top 10. Congratulations, Adam Baker. God bless you all. Until next time, take what you're doing to the next level.